Hello and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to this month's Stretch the Sketch, where on the third Sunday of every month we get together and we use a 12 by 12 sketch, but then we create a project that is anything but a 12 by 12. So sometimes we stretch it out to a double page, shrink it down to an 8.5 by 11. I've occasionally done a 6 by 8 or a double 6 by 8. We do all sorts of different takes on the sketches. Of course, linked down below will be the links to everybody else who is playing along today. And I enjoyed creating this page. I've been wanting to do a horizontal 8.5 by 11 page for the longest time. Jennifer Kane, she is Scrapping Kane over on Instagram. She does that a lot. Actually, I think that is probably the format that she scraps in the most. And she is so creative and she creates such gorgeous, gorgeous layouts. And I keep telling her, I really want to give it a try. I really want to give it a try. And she said to me, well, be careful, because when you do, you're going to become addicted to it. And it was fun. And the sketch that we have today, to me, lent itself perfectly to being a horizontal 8.5 by 11. So that's what I did. I took a piece of vanilla cardstock. I cut it down by 1/2 inch on two sides, mounted it on this sort of deep mustardy golden yellow with almost a little bit of, it's a very, very warm tone, so almost leading towards a little bit of an orangey rusty color. Anyway, it's gorgeous, and I thought it went perfectly with my photos. And I had this series of small photos at the ready. I had originally done them as a collage, and then I just cut them out so they worked perfectly for this kind of layout. Now, I stayed fairly true to the sketch in spirit. I've made a couple of little changes to make it my own, but you can definitely see the sketch, which is, of course, up here in the corner for you. So I inked all my edges, of course. I did some of that messy inking that I'm enjoying doing so much lately. And in the corner up in that left-hand corner at the top, it could either be stamping or stitching or even pattern paper or stenciling. And I chose to get my glacier paste out because the two, I really wanted to work in the warm tones, but still be quite bright. So work in the corals and towards the reddish, the golden yellows. But I also wanted to bring the green from the photos into the layout. So I got my glacier paste in Green Envy, and I added in two places. I put it here where it seems to be in the sketch, but I also added another bit of stenciling down here at the bottom, and I used my Tim Holtz burlap stencil. I then had some scraps from Vicki Boutin, the Vicki Boutin Storyteller, on my desk, and that is basically all I have used. So I started by cutting out a couple of circles using some dies, and I also cut out a larger circle in this same cardstock, which I put behind the circle. And I sort of put that almost as an embellishment of its own, which is what it looks like to me in the sketch. I then die cut. So it's fun. This got me to get my dies out and to use my dies. So I die cut two of these fun label shapes, and I popped one, but here I did it a little bit more vertical than horizontal, as is in the sketch. Popped it there, popped one of them down here as well, one extra little circle over in the corner. So I had to organize my photos perhaps differently than in the sketch, because they were pretty much all landscape as opposed to portrait. I don't really have anything that gives the height here or here. But I got an extra photo here and I moved the title down. Oh, not an extra photo. I guess I just did a little bit of a different placement for the photo. I backed all my photos in a mossy green cardstock. They are all flat to the page. So this is all pretty much flat to the page. There's not much dimension. There's texture. The only dimension I have really is these two little arrows that I popped up on foam dots. So I sort of arranged the photos and then the larger pieces. So I got the two circles down and the two tabs or labels down. And then I sort of looked at what was missing for me. And that's where maybe I added a little bit to the sketch. So I took this scrap that I had on my desk, I fishtailed it, and I popped it up here to just extend the pattern paper up just a little bit. And then I added another piece, a rectangle of that same paper down here at the bottom where I could bring my title, let my title extend down a little bit and do a little bit of journaling and not have as awkward a gap as it was leaving before I did that. So I then got that down. Everything you can see has been inked. And I got my title, so Chef at Home, because what these photos really are is the same meal that I prepared in the sequence of events. So I started by sauteing a lot of my vegetables. So there's some onions and peppers and kale in the pan, which is what I started with. Then I added some chopped tomatoes to that. I had cooked some pasta. I added the cooked pasta and then added a little bit more liquid to make just barely a sauce. And then I added some shrimp because they don't take very long to cook. They really just, put a cover on, steam them a little bit, and voila, I had a meal in no time at all. And that is something that I love to do. That's sort of the story behind this. I love to cook. We are a foodie family or extended family. We all enjoy cooking, and we therefore go very, very rarely to a restaurant, but prefer pitching in. Everybody brings something, or we get together for a meal, which of course we have not done in coming up to a year now, if this continues on. Yeah, coming up to a year now since we've been able to do any kind of meal. I think the last meal, my sister from another mister, her birthday is on the 1st of March, and I think that is the last time we all got together for a meal here in my home. But what I love to do is I love just opening the fridge, looking around to get inspired. I rarely, if ever, use a recipe, which I think is fun, but also sometimes if people ask me for the recipe, well, I don't have one. So I rarely, if ever, use a recipe. Like scrapbooking, so cooking to me, I draw an analogy there. Like scrapbooking, I use color, texture, mood, and feel. And so I got that. I've been wanting to record that for a while. I just tucked in a little viewfinder here, popped captured and memories up on foam. I had just this tiniest little gap here, and these little gems were on my desk, so I popped them here, and I had an extra bit left over, so I just popped it up there, and then finished a sheet of these gems. These I've had for, I can't remember how long. I think these go back to Queen and Company. So I got those in 3 spots on the page, did a little bit of gold splattering, and there you have it. That is my take on Stretch the Sketch this week, where I shrunk it and did an 8.5 by 11 horizontal. I hope you enjoyed it. Do you enjoy cooking? Are you foodies? Do you enjoy eating? Or is it more of a, okay, well, it's mealtime now, I have to eat, and therefore you do? Do you love restaurants? Tell me about your views on cooking, eating, and food. And I will see you back here very, very soon. And of course, again, don't forget to go and see everybody else's gorgeousness today. Thanks for being here, my friends. Bye for now.